The arena lights blazed down like a second sun, the crowd's roar shaking the ground. Cameras zoomed in on the towering figure inside the octagon, a man whose knuckles had broken bones and whose name filled stadiums. This was Alex Rourke, the undefeated MMA champion turned billionaire CEO, a man who crushed both boardroom rivals and world-class fighters with equal precision. Tonight, though, he wasn't facing a trained killer. He was facing a single dad, a man most thought didn't belong here. If you're hearing this, stick with me until the end. Because the final move you're about to witness will change how you look at courage forever. And if you believe in second chances, in impossible comebacks, then smash the like button and hit subscribe, because this is one fight you'll never forget. The challenger's name was Daniel Cross. He didn't look like much broad-shouldered, but with the weathered hands of a man who worked construction, not the sculpted muscles of a fighter. His hair was flecked with gray. He had the stance of someone who'd seen war, and carried pieces of it home in his bones. What the crowd didn't know was that Daniel had once been a Marine. That he'd buried friends overseas, and that he'd been raising his 12-year-old daughter, Emily, alone since her mother passed away 3 years ago. Daniel didn't come here to prove he could beat the MMA champion. He came because Alex Rourke had called him out. A promotional stunt, the media said Alex's way of hyping his new fitness empire. But the truth was personal. Weeks earlier, Daniel had applied for a security job at Alex's company. He was turned down, without an interview. "We don't hire charity cases," the HR rep had said after glancing at his file. Alex overheard that conversation and made a snap decision to test Daniel in the only arena Alex respected, the fight cage. It started with a phone call. One fight. $10 million. Win or lose, you walk away with the money. Daniel didn't believe him at first. But when Alex wired the deposit for training expenses, reality hit. $10 million wasn't just money, it was college tuition for Emily, a real home, freedom from the debt that had been drowning him since his wife's hospital bills. The next 6 weeks were war. Daniel trained in a rundown gym with borrowed gloves, sparring with local fighters who hit harder than he expected. His old injuries screamed at night. More than once, Emily found him on the living room floor, wrapping ice packs around his knees. "Dad," she'd whisper, "you don't have to do this." But Daniel would smile through the pain. "Sometimes, baby, you have to stand in the fire, to show you're still alive." Fight night came. The stadium shook with chants of Rourke. Rourke! No one was chanting for Daniel. Not yet. The bell rang. The first round was brutal. Alex's strikes were faster than lightning, snapping Daniel's head back again and again. But every time Daniel staggered, he came forward again. It wasn't skill, it was something deeper. The crowd started to notice. By the second round, the chants shifted. Dan-I-E-L. Dan-I-E-L. In the third round, Alex switched tactics. He clinched, whispered in Daniel's ear, "You've got heart. But heart won't save you." Then he slammed Daniel to the mat. Pain exploded in Daniel's ribs. He could barely breathe. But when he looked to the side, through the cage mesh, he saw Emily standing in the front row, her hands clasped, tears streaming down her face. She wasn't cheering. She was begging. Daniel stood. Somehow. The crowd lost its mind. Fourth round. Alex threw a spinning back kick, deadly, precise. But Daniel caught it. Not with reflexes, but with sheer stubborn will. He stepped forward, twisted, and in one motion, swept Alex's standing leg. The champion crashed down. And then it happened, the final move. Daniel didn't throw a punch. Didn't rain down elbows. He stepped back, dropped his hands, and offered Alex a hand up. The stadium went silent. Then Alex took it. And in that moment, something broke, not in defeat, but in pride. Alex raised Daniel's arm, turned to the crowd, and shouted, "This is what a champion looks like." The referee called it a draw. But when the announcer handed Daniel the check, Alex doubled it. "For Emily," he said. That night, as Daniel walked out of the arena holding his daughter's hand, he wasn't thinking about the money, or the bruises, or the cameras. He was thinking about the moment his little girl looked up at him and whispered, "You didn't just fight, Dad. You won." And maybe, that's the real lesson. Winning isn't about breaking someone down, it's about standing up, even when the world expects you to fall. If you felt that in your heart, if you believe that courage can change lives, then you know what to do. Like this video, subscribe, and share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Because out there, someone's fighting their own round 4, and maybe they just need to know they're not alone. 2 days after the fight, Daniel woke to the sound of birds outside his small apartment window. His ribs still ached, and his knuckles were swollen, but his heart felt lighter than it had in years. Emily was in the kitchen, humming while making pancakes. He watched her for a moment, her hair messy, her eyes bright, and realized something. For the first time since her mother passed, Emily looked safe. Like the world wasn't hanging over her head anymore. The $10 million wasn't just money, it was a key. It unlocked choices they'd never had. Daniel could quit the overnight security shifts that kept him away from Emily. He could finally afford to fix the leaky roof, get her into the art school she'd always dreamed of, and take her somewhere beyond the gray streets they'd known their whole lives. But something else happened after that fight, something Daniel hadn't expected. His phone wouldn't stop ringing. Sports networks wanted interviews. Veterans groups wanted him to speak at events. Strangers sent letters, telling him his fight inspired them to get back up in their own lives. A week later, he got a call from Alex Rourke himself. "Daniel," Alex said, "I need a head of security for my company. Someone who knows what real strength is. The job's yours, if you want it." Daniel paused. "Why me? You've got 100 guys who could take down anyone." Alex chuckled. "Yeah, but they'd take them down for the wrong reasons. You'd lift them up." That's how Daniel found himself in a tailored suit, walking into a glass skyscraper where people actually smiled when he passed. It was a strange new world, but he brought with him the same values he carried into the octagon: respect, discipline, and the belief that no one was too small to fight for. Months passed. Emily flourished in her new school. Daniel helped Alex start a charity for veterans, funding rehab programs and job training. And every year on the anniversary of their fight, Daniel and Alex would step back into the ring not as enemies, but as brothers. One night, after their annual spar, Alex leaned on the ropes and grinned. "You know, you never actually lost to me," he said. Daniel laughed. "And you never actually beat me." Alex's smile softened. "Maybe that's the point. Some fights aren't about winning or losing. They're about showing up." Daniel nodded. He thought of Emily, of the night she saw him bleed but not break, of the strangers who wrote to him saying his story gave them hope. And he realized Alex was right. Because life isn't scored by knockouts. It's measured by the moments you choose to stand up, especially when you could just stay down. So wherever you are, whatever fight you're in, remember this: you don't have to throw the hardest punch. You just have to be the one still standing when the bell rings. And if you believe that, then let's keep these stories alive. Like, subscribe, and share, because somewhere, someone's watching this right now, wondering if they can keep going. And maybe your click is the sign they've been waiting for.